Canada, for example, I really think, and I hate to say it, they've missed their opportunity, right? That came a few years ago now. We in Canada have just let it go. We haven't invested properly. We know the state of the game behind the scenes in Canada, and now all these other nations have caught up. The world's so much bigger now than it ever has been for women's soccer. It's going to be very difficult for Canada to maintain their level of consistency.
It'll be even more difficult if they lose their manager, John Herdman, on the men's side, who's now linked to Toronto FC. So there's reports from Matthew Shinetti, Joshua Cloak, anyone who's covering this team is reporting this essentially. TFC had interviewed John Herdman, the manager, obviously, of the Canadian men's national team, for their head coaching position. They've also interviewed Bobby Smirniotis of the Hamilton Forge. He's also been interviewed. This is pretty big news. We put a poll out today on the Homestand Twitter. Which team is tougher to manage, Toronto FC or Canada? 63% saying Toronto FC.
Really?
36.4% saying Canada. Maybe?
Yeah, well, I put a poll out too saying...
Oh, you had your own personal poll.
Who rates higher on the shit show-ometer? And Canada Soccer is just pipping them right now, 53.2% to TFC's 48.8%.
Okay, so let's go around the room here. Tougher team to manage, James Sharman. TFC or Canada?
You know, there's problems in both teams. Definitely at this point, though, it's TFC. TFC's toxic. It's a mess on many, many levels, right? A couple of Italian guys making a crap load of money who don't want to be there. That's not great. They've already got one guy fired. Terry Dunfield, the poor guy, great football guy, good dude, just cannon fodder. Not his fault. The young players aren't quite good enough, and they're being developed in this toxic environment. Disaster. At least Canada has some good quality players who have shown that they can play the game. They've got a world-class talent. TFC hasn't. So, yeah, by far, Canada's easier to coach than TFC.
Sean?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think right now the situation behind the scenes for Canada is worse than it is for TFC. It's what's on the pitch for TFC, which is hard to manage. Like Bernadeschi and Insigne, I think, like James was saying, there's a lot of drama there. So I think the situation with the bankruptcy and all the crap that's going on there, I think is worse for, and that's why Herdman is going to get involved, I think, with TFC, because it's his job to fix what's on the field, and I think he'll be able to do that.
Pararia.
Yeah, I'm actually going to stick with these guys. I know you were saying like TFC, it's going to be easier in one season to change it, but with Canada Soccer, you're able to pick from so much talent, and there is an abundance of talent right now with Canada Soccer. Yeah, behind the scenes might be bad, but I mean, forget the two Italians too. You have a team that's letting go of Richie Larea, your best player. He's from Canada. Like, what are you guys doing? This team is so rotten to the core that I don't think it's going to be in one season. We just need to make a few transfers and get a new coach. This is going to take like 3 or 4 seasons to properly rebuild.
I'll say this, if it's John Herdman, and that's still very much just speculation, although there's more and more noise about John Herdman leaving Canada, right? Same with New Zealand, right? A few months ago now. But for John Herdman, he took over Canada, and there were cliques in that room. It was an unhealthy locker room as well, and he changed that. So he's got that ability to really manage personalities and egos really well. He's proven that with the women's team as well. So maybe he's what you need in TFC. That being, he's never coached club football before at this level ever. That's a very different job to a national team when you got a few camps each year. The day-to-day. He's meticulous. He's so focused on the day-to-day running of Canada. I think he would fit well into the club side of things, but it's still a very different role. He's yet to prove himself in that position. So it'd be a slight gamble, but it'd be exciting. And I tell you what, for Canada Soccer, it'd be another kick in the gut. That's for sure.
I think for Herdman, the question should probably be which headache is worth it, right? It's both. They're both a disaster. And if I'm Herdman, I think it's Toronto FC, right? You don't have to worry about being supported. You don't have to go door to door asking for money. You're not in that position anymore.
You're just coaching.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if someone can galvanize a team and an organization, he's proved that he can. He's done it, 2 times, 3 times over back to New Zealand, right?
I do wonder though how the big egos in that room would accept John Herdman.
Well, that's what I mean. Look what happened to Bob Bradley. He got completely villainized at TFC, and they could do the same thing to him. And with Canada Soccer, you have a World Cup you're hosting around the corner. At least I'll have them in another World Cup. Yeah, but at the same time,
there's an international window coming up, and Canada doesn't have a match to play.
Longer holidays.
What are we talking about here?
That's why I think he wants out.
Why would you want to stay with that? We have a World Cup coming up, and we can't even manage to put together a friendly.
Go to TFC. Get out of Canada, John Herdman. If I'm you, no, seriously. He's so talented. We've known that from what he's done with the women's team and the men's team. Why would you go to TFC? He's so much better than that. He doesn't need to prove himself at a team.
I think he does, though, Sarah. I think he does.
Not at TFC. I think you go to another MLS team that has a little bit more of a healthy foundation right now.
But this is the current opening, right? This is what's there.
I'd go to the UK. I'd go to New Zealand.
Ownership
no
group.
way.
The first thing you do is get rid of those Bernadeschi and Insigne, right? And those
well, you're going to have to flush the roster.
Yeah, you have to, because to get money as well, you need to rebuild without those two players, right? So it's a huge job, and assuming they can get rid of those contracts, does Insigne want to leave, given the contract he's on? I mean, I'm sure he wants out, but
how has Saudi not come in for him?
It's been linked.
Haven't they both been linked to Saudi? I'm pretty sure they have. And then Bernadeschi came out and said, I'm like loyal to TFC or whatnot. But that's exactly where they could go, and they could pay their contract off, no problem. With spending money, that's nothing.
Yeah. If I'm Herdman, if they want you, I would take the job in a heartbeat.
Would it be a pay raise for Herdman to join TFC?
I mean, I would think so.
I don't know. He gets paid pretty well by national team standards for Canada. It's hard to say. It's a good question, that actually.
Let's say the number is the same.
But the thing is, I mean, the lure, we get in the lure of the World Cup, and it is a lure. It's a home World Cup. It's amazing. And what he's given to this program, men and women, that'd be a great way for him to say farewell, home World Cup. But it might just be 2 games. They might crash out. So,
oh my God, it's groups of 3. I forgot. Right? Oh, they're doing.
I mean, you're not guaranteed listen, touch wood, hopefully it's a deep run. But maybe it's not. So you hang on for this great occasion, and then you play 2, maybe 3 games.
Well, as of right now, it's unlikely that they can get out of the group. I mean, if you're not getting some game time, right? It is true, but if you're not getting game time
as a home nation, probably
they're not getting game time.
No, I know. They've got Japan coming up. Don't forget Japan. That's good.
Japan's going to wipe the floor with that.
Well, we're watching the Prem this weekend, right?
Yeah.
And Luca Kolyosho playing for Burnley, right? Really good young talent. Looked fantastic. Was called up by John Herdman earlier this year for Canada. Didn't get capped. He can play for Italy as well. Was playing for the U21s for Italy over the summer. And now you're going to go to a Luca Kolyosho and say, listen, when we have games, we really want to cap you, but we haven't got a game. I mean, how's that going to turn? That will not only turn a player like Kolyosho off, it's got to turn off John Herdman.
Yeah.
Right? At what point do you say, enough's enough? I've been here since 2011. It's 12 years he's committed to this program. And he must look in the mirror and say, look where we're at now. It's never been bad. We've never been worse off the pitch. On the pitch, different story entirely. So if you get an opportunity to go and coach an MLS team with some deep pockets, like a TFC, and turn that around, really tempting.
Well, there could be some serious reinforcements coming in for Toronto FC. Sebastian Giovinco is back at training with Toronto FC, ladies and gentlemen.
Literally
he's not training with the team. He's just training. This happens every year.
He seems that way.
Is he right now just hoping, hey, listen, this team is horrible. This has got to be my time to come back.
He's wanted to come back for so long. He has a home in Toronto. He lives here.
Yeah.
I get that, but this, in terms of TFC, this isn't a smart move. This is an old football player. You can't base the whole team around him. He isn't in his prime anymore. I don't care. You have to move forward.
Well, listen, you want to make the fan base happy? Just sign him to a.
That's what the signing's about. If they do sign him, it's to
a short-term contract.
I would honestly I would love to see Giovinco's self-confidence in that room with Insigne and Bernadeschi, and just see what happens.
He becomes another poisoned Italian.
It could be fun to watch from the outside, though, right? From a really nasty.
What if it actually works, though?
I don't think
you mean the 36-year-old comes back?
And just finds his form.
20 goals.
Yeah.
You need they need to rebuild that whole team.